Today, I am joined by a writer who happens to also be a trainer and activist communicator. That is Jennifer Farmer, who also is known as the PR Whisperer. Welcome in, Jennifer.
Thanks for having me, Adrienne.
Yes, and thank you so much for joining us. As I understand, you're also an author of a forthcoming book called First and Only: How Black Women Navigate Work and Life.
Absolutely. So, First and Only, a Black Woman's Guide to Thriving at Work and in Life hits the market on February 9th. I am super excited about this book because it speaks to the racism, the sexism, the classism that Black women experience at work, and also when they find themselves as the first or the only. So, this is very, very exciting, and I think it's going to affirm many, many Black women.
Absolutely. And our experiences, as these are things I very much know, having been a lawyer in big law firms where I have been the first associate of color in offices, and having been in a lot of spaces where I am the only one, and there are considerable stereotypes that accompany being a Black woman. And so for our viewers' edification, can you expound a little bit upon that?
So one of the issues that Black women experience in work is wanting to dodge the angry Black woman stereotype. From the time that we were girls up until teenage years and young adulthood, we have been told to be very, very careful that we don't be labeled an angry Black woman. And what that does is it causes us to suppress emotions. It also denies the fact that anger is a legitimate emotion. And so sometimes you will experience challenges, and because you are fearful of being called that terrible word, which is also like a curse word, you will suppress it and keep it inside. And that can be counterproductive. So that's one stereotype. The other thing that Black women experience as the first and only is a sort of isolation. To people who are outside of your position, they are excited for your success, they applaud you, but there's also a loneliness that comes with being the only person in a position, being the first person to do what you are doing. And so what I'm trying to do in the book is acknowledge that, to name it, and to really create space for Black women to see themselves in the whole category of leadership and self-help books.
Oh man, that is very powerful, and something I could have used when I started in a lot of these industries. It really resonates with me what you said about the angry Black woman, because it's like you really end up putting out all this extra energy to try to avoid that, whether it's using excessive exclamation points or emojis. I found myself doing those kind of things, because you're avoiding that narrative.
Absolutely. And what I tell people is oftentimes when Black women go to work, it's not just the job that we're doing, but we're doing emotional labor. We're doing a ton of double checking. How's the email? How's my tone? We also experience tone policing. There's politics of our hair. And so there are so many considerations that we have to keep in mind in order to feel safe, to feel like we're accepted. And it really should not be. And what I'm telling people is these kind of things, they happen even in organizations that pride themselves on doing good, organizations that have a noble mission. And so there is work for all of us to do to create environments and spaces where Black women not only feel safe, but are safe.
Absolutely. And I know that there's considerable professional segregation that continues to go on, because there are Black women who are the first and only in that space, but there's a reason for that. It's because, there have generally been fields that we have not been really allowed to be into and welcomed and embraced. And so seeing that occupational segregation play out, I guess, how do you address that in a way that makes people still want to pursue their passions, but also that they remain cognizant of essentially these ceilings that are put up above us?
Well, I think that, one of the messages I'm trying to convey in the book is there is work for all of us to do. When you walk into a situation and you're the first or you're the only, that is not because others have a lack of talent, a lack of experience, or a lack of ability. But as you mentioned, Adrienne, there are systems put in place that limit who can thrive. And so for organizations and companies that want to do good, they really have to look at not only their hiring practices, who they're in relationship with, but the work culture and the environment. Because it does no good to hire competent and talented Black women, but then create an environment that's so toxic that they cannot be there. For Black women, I also say that, as you forge these new trails, it is difficult for you. It may be difficult for you, but to keep your eye on the Black women who are coming alongside you. I won't say beside or behind, I'll say alongside you, because what you are doing will certainly give way and create space for others who perhaps just seeing you there gives them a reason to hope, a reason to keep trying.
Absolutely, because we do want to continue to try and also just to use our own skills and to fulfill our purpose. And something that seems very much the case in terms of Black women is the fact that we are overrepresented in the workforce, where we've had the highest labor force participation of all women for years because Black women are more likely to have multiple jobs. And unfortunately, we're still making 62 cents on every dollar that a white man makes. And so when it comes to being in these workplaces and these spaces where you're getting a lot of microaggressions, you're being held back and whatnot, do you have any advice for Black women when it comes to tackling that economic gap that's there?
Well, one thing that I say is that all leadership advice, it must be viewed from the lens of race and gender. And when it comes to the wage gap, again, it's not because of a lack of talent, experience, or ability, but there are systems in place that mean that it's harder for us to get ahead financially. And so one thing that I've done in my career, and I encourage others to do, and to do it, having considered it carefully and making calculated risk, is don't wait until it's the standard evaluation time to ask for a raise. Ask for a raise anyway. And I'm very, very clear and very, very honest in the book that sometimes just by asserting your worth, just by saying what you want and you need, you may be looked at sideways, but to do it anyway. And if the environment that you're in is hostile to your asking, you may have to do that until you can find something better. But I'm a big proponent of asking, and asking even if there are penalties that come alongside it.
Yes, and there are a lot of penalties that are implicitly really imposed upon Black women in workspaces. And something I specialize in is educating and informing people on workplace sexual harassment. And as research has shown, Black women file 3 times as many workplace sexual harassment complaints with the EEOC as white women do. And it's not at all because we complain more, but we're targeted more because of the legacy of slavery and this Jezebel thought that we should be hypersexualized. We're lucky to be here. Also, with individuals in the workplace being well aware that we lack societal power to really fight back. And so in your book, in any way, do you help Black women get past that as they have to deal with these sexualized advances or put downs that may show up in workplaces?
Well, I talk a lot about the importance of building alliances and relationships. And what this book is a framework to support Black women. But the systems that we go into, they still have their work to do. And so we're doing all the right things. We are among the most educated demographics in the country. So again, this is not a fault of our own. And as we continue to look for different opportunities and to build alliances and do everything that we're supposed to do, the corporations, the companies, the organizations, they have work that they have to do as well to support our ability to continue to thrive. So in this book, I am not just placing the onus on Black women. I'm saying, I see you, I understand what you're going through, and as we continue to take steps forward, the organizations that we are going into, they have to do their own work. The other thing that I talk about, Adrienne, is that, everything that we've talked about, it's difficult, it's weighty, it's hard. These statistics are even hard. And so it's very, very important as we are forging the careers that we want and forging the life that we want, that we identify a spiritual practice and a way to sustain ourselves, even as we're fighting for progress, to be very careful and very intentional that we are shoring ourselves up. And that could look like, being a part of a very supportive village or a network of Black women who are committed to being transparent and honest about what they're going through, where they found success, and resources that can help one another.
Oh, wow. You really hit the nail on the head. That sounds like something I cannot get enough of. So I'm super excited for First and Only. And can you please tell our viewers when they can get it and where they can get it?
So you can pre-order the book now, and it will ship on February 9th. That's just a few days away. By the time you blink, the book will be in your mailbox. And it's your favorite bookseller, It's online, Target, Walmart, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, you name it, it's there.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.